I'm right there with you. We want the price of gold and silver and the other precious metals to go up to where they should be, to have a fair value, which we know is not the case right now. That's due to a lot of manipulation on many levels. But one of the biggest factors that we're fighting against is the Federal Reserve, their aggressive monetary policy. And the one key component, the one key thing, the one leg that they're able to stand on right now is this supposed great employment picture. Well, I call BS. I want to lay out the argument that the employment picture isn't quite as great as the Federal Reserve and our government is reporting. And when that leg falls, that could and should spell very, very good times for the price of silver and gold. Hey, we don't want anybody to lose their job or get laid off. We're just talking about reality and examining whether or not these numbers that they're using to support for their aggressive monetary policy are in fact a bunch of BS. Let's get started right now. Yeah, we've heard it ad nauseum. The unemployment rate is at record all-time lows. Just last week, claims for first-time unemployment, lowest ever. I mean, Joe Biden, he is pulling off an economic miracle. Or is he? This unemployment picture that's so great, the one leg the Fed has to stand on to project their aggressive monetary policy, is it really so great? Well, let's start at the top. Where do these numbers come from? The BLS, the Bureau of Labor and Statistics. I guess they have a lot of PhD statisticians who are studying the numbers, I'm sure with the best intent to provide the most accurate numbers to the American public. But some people, some real smart people, and I've heard it's kind of common knowledge even on Wall Street, don't call it the BLS, they call it the BS, or they like to call it the Bureau of Lies and Statistics because they don't quite trust the numbers that they put out regarding employment. You are important, and I am honored that you, right now, wherever you are in the world, even if you're a quiet quitter, sitting in your office, not working, but watching YouTube videos, I appreciate you joining me here in Ron's Basement. Go get a cup of coffee. If you enjoy my content, you can subscribe right here. Give the video a thumbs up, turn on the bell notification, leave a comment. We want to hear from you. If you're a quiet quitter in particular, let us know what it's like hanging out in the office all day, not really caring. Everyone is welcome. There was even a report put out last week that said that almost 1 million of the jobs that were reported in the last year as being created may have very well been double counted. And the labor participation rate, the number that they use to base their statistics off of, the number of people they consider capable of working, continues to shrink. We've had more and more people in this country go on disability, and they don't count people who gave up on looking for a job after, I think it's 18 months, right? People that just said, it's not worth it anymore. I'm just not even going to look for a job. They don't consider those people to be unemployed. And a lot of these new jobs that were created over the last year, a lot of those jobs are people taking second jobs because they can't afford to put gas in their car. They can't afford to put a roof over their head. They can't afford to put food in their stomachs, and they can't even afford to buy back-to-school supplies for their kids because only 36% of Americans said they could afford to buy back-to-school supplies for their kids. But I digress. And unfortunately, a lot of these supposed new jobs that were created are low-paying, minimum wage type jobs. And have you heard about the quiet quitters? It's this new phenomena. It's this new catchphrase, quiet quitters. Those are people who don't quit their job. They stay in their job, but they just really don't try. There was a recent Gallup poll that showed a growing percentage of Americans are considering themselves to be quiet quitters. Over 50%. They are, quote unquote, actively disengaged. And even like a 12% of the people surveyed said they just basically didn't care about their job at all and didn't even try. So we got a lot of people who are counted as being employed. I'll give it that, but they don't really give a crap about their job. So as the Fed uses this supposed strong employment picture that we're seeing in our economy, they use that as their base from which to launch their aggressive monetary policy. Under the covers, things just don't look that great. And it's important to remember, right, that employment has always been a lagging indicator. What does that mean, Ron? A lagging indicator? Well, that means it takes 3 to 6 months for changes in the economy to show up in the employment picture. And that makes sense because companies don't fire or lay people off immediately when they start to run into trouble. It takes a month or 2 or 3 until these things start to feed through the economy. Now, one final point, and very, very important. This is kind of a macro gut feel that I know is true. I'll be curious to hear your thoughts on this matter. I think we're in a little sweet spot right now in the employment picture. And what I mean by that is we went through several years where there was a huge shortage of workers. Companies were desperate. People didn't want to work. There was all this free government money. For a number of factors, people were not going back into the workforce. Suddenly, because everything stinks out there, right? And now people need to get second jobs and people need to go back to work. People are rushing back to the workforce, and you've got companies that were desperate. They were like the person that went into Walmart and there was no toilet paper, right? The companies were going into the employee store to buy employees, and there were no employees. The shelves were empty. Now suddenly the shelves are full again, and even if they don't necessarily need the people right now, they're going to hire them anyway because they're so scared. They were so traumatized by those 2 years of not being able to hire anybody that they're doing it right now. I think that could change quickly and likely will change over the coming 2 to 3 months. That will force the BLS, at least to some extent, to recognize that the employment picture's not all that great. That will force the Fed to back off on this aggressive monetary policy. That'll bring the dollar down. That'll bring interest rates down. You know what that'll do for silver and gold and the other precious metals? That'll send them up. No matter what happens, one thing for sure, I will be here for you through it all. We'll navigate these choppy waters. It'll be very interesting to see how this plays out. Until next time, you, yes, you be well.